Today, I do not have a plan. Why, you ask? Good question. Anyway, so, I will be reviewing Spyfall Part 2, a jam-packed episode of Doctor Who if I've ever seen one. You didn't like Spyfall?
Second one was too all over the place. The ending was too... Should have done that 500 fucking times beforehand in every other episode of Doctor Who that's ever been.
So, okay, let's get into it. Spyfall Part 2. Immediate thoughts? Where would I place it in terms of the first part? I think overall, it's better. I think overall it's a better story than the first part. I think the first part is a little bit empty, actually. I think there could be more to fill it. But I think the second part goes for it. You've got loads of things. I know a lot of people thought it was too packed, which maybe it was, considering it was an hour, and even then, it was like... But I'm going to get into my major flaw with the episode now, so it's out of the way. The companions didn't need to be in the episode. I think this should have been a companion-light episode. I think we shouldn't have seen the three of them. I think we should have seen a bit of them crashing at the plane at the beginning and then be like, what are we going to do? I think we should then have the plane crashing, like that's it, and we go, oh no. And then you literally don't see them for the rest of the episode, and at the very end, 13 goes back to the plane, lands on it before it crashes and saves them. Because if you take away the time there in this episode, which I think someone says like up to 10 minutes, I think, something like that, that is an extra 10 minutes. It means Daniel Barton's plan can get explained much more thoroughly than it ended up getting explained. They like dump it at you in a keynote speech before he's defeated, so it's not great exposition. And although they had a couple of moments, like even the humour in this episode with them was a bit cringy. I was just like, oh, I liked the conversation about them talking about them not knowing the Doctor that well when they really think about it. That was good, but that was really it. And that could have really been at the end of the episode. Apart from the companions, though, I think the episode's really, really good. I thought the Doctor, I can say completely, best episode she's had. I thought the first episode, I said in my other review, if you've seen that, if you haven't, whatever, that... I thought she was good. She was just good. She wasn't Series 11, but I don't think she's really stepped it up that much. But in this episode, great performance. I liked the serious moments. I liked her and the Master. I get it. I get the connection. I buy it. I believe it. And actually, I think I buy it more than with 12th Doctor and Missy. I think they did their better work after her first appearance. I think although I like them, their dynamic, I didn't buy as much the old friends, old enemies kind of aspect to their relationship as much as they do here. The rest of 13's performance was also good. I thought she was funny. She thought she was funny, like she usually is. And the bit at the end with major spoilers. The bit at the end with Gallifrey was great. And the last shot when she's walked away from the companions and she's like, you can tell on her face she's like going through it. It's by far the best part of her character arc this season. I think adding the serious element has really rounded her Doctor out, and I think she's the best she's ever been. I mean, I've already got the Doctor and companions out of the way. I'm moving through this. The plot, it really, I think it makes sense. It's a very complicated story. They don't always give the information the best way. The keynote speech is a great example. But if you look at it and you think about it, it all connects. Why the Kasavin were studying people like Ada Lovelace because they needed to know more about computers so they could figure out how to reconfigure DNA to make it into databases. The only thing that really wasn't explained is why it just so happened that the Kasavin dimension looked a bit like DNA strands. I thought Daniel Martin's whole plan was cool, and it kind of hints that the sort of 7% that wasn't human was what they had changed 7% of his DNA to be a storage base, which was interesting because it meant that with 7% of your DNA like changed, apparently you can still function as a regular human, seemingly like a normal person. So it's actually not that convoluted. It's just because they add the whole time travel thing by the way, Dan, my friend Dan will vouch for this. I predicted the time zones thing. I messaged him in the first episode when it had the different maps of the Earth. I was like, it's time zones. And boom, what was it? It was time zones. And I was like, oh, so they time travel. And I think I was very happy that it wasn't just they can time travel without explanation. It was the fact that the machine had been placed in history to go through it'd been maneuvered by the master to go through the right people, so that the Kasavan could specifically use that machine to come out in different time periods. Great. Ada and Nor, and I agree with people. I honestly think Ada, Nor, and 13 is like the perfect time travel team. Like, I understand why they couldn't be companions logistically. Actually, no, they could do it. I think I would believe that Ada Lovelace went to the future, and that's what inspired her to make computers and stuff, unaware that she was. That's what I would do. So she didn't know that who she was. The Doctor never told her like she was famous. And that's how I would have done it, or at least never overtly told her that she was famous for computering. And then Nor, I think it would be interesting if the Doctor knew when she would eventually drop Nor off back home, that Nor would die soon after. So I think, honestly, now I'm thinking about it, I really wish we just got a season of the 13th Doctor, Ada Lovelace, and Nor Inayat Khan. I just want to see these three together in some way again, because I really liked them. Ada was more important to the story because she was like the sort of computer lady. Nor was like incidental. Like they accidentally travelled to Paris 1943, I think it was. But I liked her inclusion. I'm glad that the rumours beforehand that we were just basically going to get a Rosa episode, but with Nor and Khan, I'm glad that that wasn't true, because it would have seemed like, oh, we're just going to copy and paste the formula with Rosa with a different historical woman of colour who fought for freedom. I'm glad they were both women. Okay, blah 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 blah. So SJW, but I liked that they were both women, and I like there was brief mention of Ada's sort of gender. Them having their minds wiped. I saw people complaining like, why hasn't this happened before? I think it's because with Ada and Nor, it was explicitly showing them their future, being like, this is what happens. Nor knew. With Nancy, it was a bit different. Not saying that Nancy was a nobody from the Empty Child and the Doctor Chances, but that was like Rose. That was Rose. It wasn't the Doctor. That was Rose telling her. I think the Doctor showing both of them their future and kind of accidentally revealing to Ada that she'd marry a Lovelace and that she'd have some kind of importance with computers. I get why she wiped them, and it was kind of sad, especially in Ada's case. I forgot the actors for Nor and Ada, but they were both very good, and I'm actually gonna keep an eye out for any projects they're doing, because they seem to be very good actors. Now, the villains. We have 3 villains in this story. Look, I know we had the Master, the Kasavan, and Daniel Barton in part 1, but the Master was the very end, and Daniel Barton was kind of a mystery. It was mainly like the Kasavan with the immediate threat. Daniel Barton seemed to be in charge, and the Master was the plot twist at the end. The Master, great. Sacha Dhawan, I liked his Master. Again, I'll reiterate what I said in the first one. I like that he's always got this rage underneath. I'm not really going to go into the politics of 13 removing his filter, because I get why it's dodgy. I do get why it's dodgy, but also he's the Master who's killed probably millions of people at this point, with no regret, was planning to destroy the Earth, or kill everyone on Earth. So I don't have a lot of sympathy for him as a character, but I do understand why people took offence to that. And also, to be honest, I'm white, so I don't really, along with I don't want to make this video too political, I don't really have, I don't have a horse in the race, so I personally don't think it's really, I'm not that educated on the matter to be talking about it, to be honest. Apart from that, liked him. I think I'm in the minority. I don't think I like his final costume. He's like sort of, I think it's going to be his default costume, which he only wears for like 5 minutes. But I didn't really like it. I think the suit, the trousers and the waistcoat matching, I think the colour's a bit too bright. I don't mind the coat, although it looked black in the episode, it's actually purple. I don't mind the coat. I also think the bright purple socks throw it off as well. I think those are a bit weird. I like his hair though. I liked he had like 4 different hairstyles in this episode. But I liked him. I really liked him. I thought, considering he's only done an episode in 5 minutes, he was really good. He's really cemented himself. I think it's been one of my favourites in the role overall. And we'll get to his sort of monologue at the end. Daniel Barton by Lenny Henry was still good. Sorry, I just thought of the bit where he's like, or should I say plain thieves, like he really thought he got them there. But he doesn't really have a point. Like, I get he's against the... That's what I mean. Because he's against the companions, and like, the companion scenes are the ones I would have cut. If you cut them, you then, therefore, cut Daniel Barton from most of the story. And I don't think he really needed to be in most of the story. I think it really should have been Master and the Doctor focus with... Like, I guess I have found a flaw in my plan. If you do that, you do basically remove the Kasavin from most of the story. But they didn't do that much in the scenes they were in anyway. But like Daniel Barton didn't do that much in the scenes they were in anyway. Or he was in anyway. So it's like, do you want less scenes with them or more scenes, but the extra scenes are pointless? I just realised my eyes are kind of like, you can't see them. I didn't even mention the new location. This is a room in my wall. It's one of the best with it's like got the best lighting on it, despite the fact you can't see my eyes. And I've got some Doctor Who DVDs behind me, so I thought, you know, it's kind of on topic, and because it's not daylight, it doesn't get me any advantage by doing it in my sister's room. So I thought I'll do it here. Lenny Henry's performance was a choice, and I liked that for the most part. He was very serious. He wasn't really like a fun villain. I liked the scene with his mum. I thought that was a good scene. I think, honestly, I keep going back to the companion thing, but had you moved the companion scene but left the mummy kills his mum in it, I honestly think that would have been enough to be like, the Kasavin is still a threat, Daniel Barton is still a threat. So, but I liked how he was like, oh, you never said you were, like, well done, whatever. And when they kill her, he has this like little smile that I thought that was a really nice touch. And at the end, by the way, his speech was like good. It wasn't the keynote speech. I keep saying that was bad. The exposition was bad and how long it was, and it wasn't very well shot. I'll get into the direction in a minute. It wasn't very well shot. And for a keynote speech for this supposed like billionaire, millionaire, there was like no one there. See, that was a problem. But his actual performance of it was good, and the message, not original, but you know, you agree to everything. Technology, just let it invade your lives, and you don't even care. I get it. Quickly onto the Kasavin. I do agree that they were kind of wasted in this episode. They lose any of the threat they had in the first one because they no longer have. You do hear the imposing voice, by the same guy as the face of Bo. Again, I think I mentioned that in the last one, but I'll mention it again. But yeah, they don't speak very much, and they lose a lot of their personality, like their kind of interestingness. But I'd like to see them again. I would like to see them again. I think they'd be very interesting, and they're not defeated at the end. They just go back to their own dimension. And considering Time Lord technology seemed to very easily manifest them in our realm permanently until the Doctor put the little failsafe in, I don't see why they couldn't return. Talk about the direction. Wasn't bad direction. It was competent direction. It was shot well enough to tell the story, and so that I wasn't going, bad direction. But when you rewatch the first part, you sort of go, oh, it's lost the flair. They kind of lose the whole spy aspect, and there are good sequences, but the keynote speech, let me rub my eye. The keynote speech, really. So I was watching it, just going, this is so boringly shot. Now, onto the return of Gallifrey. I never saw it coming. Never thought we'd see Gallifrey again. I thought they'd just sweep it under the rug. Chibnall's destroyed it again. Immediately say, love the decision. I understand people are disrespected by it. One person was like 4 out of 10 because they disrespected bringing it back. Gonna be honest, mate. I think Stephen Moffat disrespected Gallifrey when he wrote Hellbent. And I'd never really liked the return of Gallifrey as a concept, if I'm honest. And so although I do understand, I do think it's annoying that at the end of you know, the 50th anniversary at the end of Series 7, they're like, oh, it might come back, it's somewhere out there. The end of Series 9 to then fully bring it back, and then only 2 and a bit seasons later to then go, never mind, it's destroyed again. But this one seems a lot more concrete, because we're literally seeing the burnt, destroyed ruins. And the return of the Timeless Child arc. What could that mean? As of filming, they just released, because after Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror, which aired 2 days ago, they released a second trailer for the second half of the season. Because I did think that initial trailer, most of the shots in it were already used, and I was like, oh, they're keeping the second half a secret. Apparently not, because they've made a new trailer. But it has the man who like apparates into the TARDIS. It seems to be the same guy who voices the Remnants in the Ghost Monument, aka the talking pieces of fabric. Who first mentioned the Timeless Child, which to me is pretty conclusive evidence that we're gonna get, maybe not a conclusion, but we're going to see more of the Timeless Child arc. I'm intrigued, and I'm kind of happy that I thought when she saw Gallifrey destroy, which was also excellently acted and was one of the scenes that was actually very well shot. I was like, oh, so the mystery of the season is going to be who destroyed Gallifrey. I kind of like that they were subverted and were like, nope, I'm going to tell you it was the Master. Master destroyed Gallifrey. Which is also probably, from at least the new series, it's probably the most destruction we've seen from the Master. Like, physically seen the ruins of a planet he's just nuked, basically. So I'm liking that. And I'm intrigued to see where it goes. I'm hoping the Master comes back, but keep moving, I've got a dead leg. I hope the Master comes back, but I also have a thing that maybe he won't come back. I'd like to see him either way. It's a bit like when I thought Missy would come back at the end of season 9 in Hellbent, but she didn't. Like, I could see Sacha Dhawan coming back, but I also could see him not coming back. What would I give it? I gave Spyfall Part 1 7.5, didn't I? I think I did. I would give this 8 or 8.5. 8. And I give the overall story 8. Because if you do the math, it adds to 7.75, which rounds to 8. It was a great opener. Better than The Woman Who Fell to Earth. The first part is not better than The Woman Who Fell to Earth, because I do episode by episode comparisons on my Twitter, at Jo-Anarchists if you're interested. But as an overall story compared to The Woman Who Fell to Earth, if I have to say, maybe Spyfall edges out The Woman Who Fell to Earth a bit. And Orphan 55 should be going up tomorrow. So that's it for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, do all the YouTube things. Oh, I'm already getting used to saying those. How sad. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If one person... Sorry, I just found a wrapper on the floor that I'm not sure what it belongs to, so... if I get 1 like, I win. Well done. So, please do those things. If you didn't like it, I'm very sorry. I hope I'll be able to make up for it one day. Oh, excuse me.